the critics, my words are like physics, a force that they can't stop. They just don't get it, I think they forget I'm not done till I'm on top. I know I was born for this. I know I was born for this. I believe we can write our story.
All right, everybody, how we doing? For those of you that are listening to the sound of my voice, probably somewhere in a podcast land, this is Gary, Words from the Wise. Very excited today. It's a Monday night, and these are my times to catch up with, buddies that I served with throughout my career, people that I know from my time of service that are doing big things. And tonight I got a special guest, man. Tonight, my guest, I've known this guy since like 1998, late 1997. He was with me on my first ship. He's doing real big things in the world. And so we're going to talk about him. We're going to talk about his life, his story, just kind of catch up to where he came from, kind of where he is today. So without further ado, I'm going to bring Mr. John Floyd to the stage. Hey, I'm cheering you on, bro. How you doing?
What's up, brother? That's an intro right there.
It's good to see your face. It's good to see you.
Yeah, you too, man. Yeah, you too, buddy.
Brother, so I really do want to start from the beginning, if that's okay with you. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I'm in, bro.
Okay, so John, we first met one another 1998 in Japan, but before you joined the service, you're actually out of SoCal, right? Southern California.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
San Diego area.
Born and raised, riding dirt bikes, riding motorcycles, doing all that fun stuff, right?
Yep.
Anything in particular about your life before you joined the service that you look back on and you're like, man, that was just a really interesting part of who I am today in your life that you'd be interested in talking about for pre-service?
Well, just the time frame that we grew up as children, early 90s, mid 90s and stuff, like we were brought up to work hard and put in effort and stuff like that. So the culture back then was, if you're a young man, you're working hard, you're out making money as soon as possible to pay for stuff and help out with the family and stuff like that. So I think I was like 13 years old when I started working part-time, mowing yards and doing odd jobs here and there for the neighbors and stuff. And then at like 15, I was working full-time for a company, working at a feed store and stuff like that, prior to the military. So I did that until I joined the military right after, my, I think it was 18. Yeah, just after I turned 18, I joined right away.
And did you graduate high school?
No, I went to a delinquent program. I was a continuation school guy. So, I was.
Me too,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know.
So didn't graduate high school, but came to the service at a relatively young age. And I think you remember you telling me one time that your family had animals growing up as well. So you grew up not only getting work for money, but like taking care of chores at the house too.
Yeah,
right?
Horses. Specifically, we had a bunch of horses. And we had like chickens and like a small farm, not like a big farm or anything, but mainly horses. My mom taught horseback riding lessons, so I had to take care of all the horses and do all that crap. It was terrible.
Okay. So you had you were no stranger to getting out there and working. And so when you went to the Navy recruiter's office, right? Because you joined the United States Navy right out the gate, right?
It's the only one that take me.
I was going to ask you, what was that conversation like when you went to the recruiter's office?
Oh, I didn't even go to the recruiter's office. So basically, I grew up off of Pendleton, with the Marines. So I was like, dude, I'm gonna be a Marine, bro. They're the biggest, baddest dudes on the block. So
yeah.
it was right before like I was supposed to be finished with the high school program, the little continuation school I went through. And so I went to the Marine recruiter. I'm like, hey, I want to join the Marines. He's like, all right, what high school are you going to? I'm like, no, I'm going to the continuation school. He's like, no, you're too stupid for us. We don't want that. we don't take you guys. So I'm like, oh, okay, that sucks. So then I went to the Army recruiter, walked down the door, a couple doors down, knocked on the Army recruiter, like, hey, I want to join the Army. They're like, oh, what do you want to do? I was like, I don't know, anything. Give me a rifle. I just want a rifle. And they're like, okay, you want to go to jump school, be airborne? I'm like, yeah, do you want to be airborne? Like, you know what that is? I'm like, no idea what that is. And they're like, okay, well, they're like, you're exactly what we want. So it's like a 4-month hold for airborne school. And I'm like, what the hell am I going to do for 4 months? I'm like, no, dude, I can't do that. So I left. And so my younger brother was in high school, and the Navy recruiters are at the school, at the high school, talking to people. And they ran into my brother and they're like, hey, you want to join the Navy? He's like, no, but my brother's an idiot. He probably want to join the Navy.
Yeah.
So So they came to the place I was staying at my buddy's house, and they're like, "Hey, you want to join the Navy?" I'm like, "Hell no, I don't want to join the Navy." They're like, "What the hell is the Navy, man? No, Marines for life, bro." So they're like, "Whatever." They're like, "You're an idiot." So they left, and then my brother was talking to me a couple of days later. He's like, "Dude, you should probably look at the Navy, man. At least somebody will take you." I'm like, "All right." So then I walked to the Navy recruiter's office. I'm like, "Hey, so what's up with the Navy?" They're like, "Oh, whatever, dude, you're an idiot. Like, you know, you would do it to everybody, nobody take you. Now you want to come to us?" I'm like, "Hey, what can I do at the Navy?" They're like, "Well, what do you want to do?" I'm like, "I want to be a grunt." They're like, "We don't have grunts in the Navy." And I was like, "Oh, I want to be infantry." They're like, "No, we don't have infantry." They're like, "We have SEALs." I'm like, "Oh, what's that?" And they showed me the Buds recruiting video. Like, dude, game on. Like, they go camping, they get to go swimming. Like, yeah, I want to do all that stuff, dude. So
They go
I was an
camping,
idiot.
they go swimming.
Yeah, I was an idiot, man. So yeah, so I went to the undesignated seaman recruit undesignated on the Buds contract. So
I did
I
not
didn't
know
score.
that you came in on a Buds contract.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. But so I got to MEPS and I did all the testing and everything, and then I went to they're like, "All right, you want to go? When do you want to leave?" I'm like, "When's the next plane out of here?" They're like, "Tuesday." It was like Thursday. I'm like, "All right, I'll go on that one." They're like, "Okay." So they shipped me out, and I went to Chicago for boot camp. I got there, and they're like, "You're on a Buds contract?" I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "Your ABSAP score is not high enough." I'm like, "Oh." Yeah, I was like, "So what does that mean?" They're like, "You're not going to Buds." I was like, "Oh, what does that mean?" They're like, "You're going to a boat and you're gonna paint a lot." I was just like, "Oh, okay." So yeah, I think at the time the minimum requirement to join the military was like an ASVAB score of like like a GT score of like 32 or something like that, or the ASVAB score was like 32. I scored like a 34.
Okay.
Dude, I barely made it, dude. Like my GT was a 102, and you had to have a 110 for like any kind of soft or anything like that at that time. So I was way up. And we're doing waivers in the 90s for anything, dude. So yeah, I went to the seaman recruit course, and then I was like, "Oh, wait a minute! Like we have the little snapback lines and stuff like that. You can cut your legs off." Like, I'm not doing that. So then they're like, "All right, we can go to the fireman recruit program." So that's how I ended up in the fireman recruit program. Yeah.
You know what's funny? So when I joined the Navy, I also joined as a undesignated seaman.
Really?
Yeah, I joined us. They told me when I joined the Navy that I was disqualified from like all the jobs because of my criminal record or whatever, right? And then and look, my ASVAB score is also nothing to write home about. Right? I dropped out of high school, early in the high school career, and so I'm thankful I passed. Thank God I passed because I see these kids every day, man, graduating high school and they cannot pass the ASVAB. And it blows my mind. Like, how are you walking across the stage and you cannot pass that test? And I have the conversation with the students all the time. Like, bro, don't waste your time at this high school. Ain't no one gonna make you get an education. They're gonna give you a freaking diploma as long as you show up every day for 4 freaking years. You've got to put the work in to want to take more advanced classes, to want to try to go higher. There should be no reason for 4 different levels of algebra freaking 1, right? There's the top one and there's the bottom one. And if you're on the bottom one, then you too could get a freaking star someday. And when I joined the military, I got the basic training, similar to you. My dad had told me, he said, "Whatever you do in the military, don't be an engineer in the Navy." Right. And I was like, okay, that didn't make any sense to me. My dad was undesignated seaman that went corpsman. So then at basic training, we're out there on the deck and they're telling me how much of the painting and the snapbacks. And I'm like, nah, bro. Like, and oh, by the way, I was afraid I was going to fall in the ocean. Right. And remember this when I used to go like, these are your legs, the little frog sticks, right? And then some sharks. And I was like, what do the engineers do? They're like, oh, they're on the bottom of the ship. They never go outside. I was like, good, check. I like that. You can become a firefighter. You'll be an undesignated fireman. And I was like, okay. So I also took the conversion from
That's
seaman.
Funny. I had no idea. No idea. All these years you've been holding out on me.
Holding out, bro. It's a secret, right? It's a secret. So, well, hey, but let's be honest. You were one of the main reasons why I became a damage controlman, right?
Yeah, you were always messing with me in the engine room.
No, I don't think I would remember it that way. I think that I remember between you and Senior Chief Hervey were the two influences.
Yeah.
And of course, all of us were striking DC men like it was going out of style because hell,
Yeah.
even we're making rank like it felt like nothing. So for everyone that's listening, striking is essentially where an undesignated sailor in the Navy gets the chance to strike and take an exam and take a test for a job in the service. But before I get to that point, did you know when you graduated boot camp that you were going to go to Japan? Did you want to go overseas?
No, I didn't want. No, I didn't. I had no idea. No.
You didn't put on the paper like I want to go overseas.
You forget. I didn't even know geography. I didn't even know what Japan was. I was like, I'm going where? They're like, you're going to Japan. I'm like, where's that? Like, dude, you gotta get on a plane. I'm like, okay. So yeah, I had no idea, man. No.
I remember being at Great Lakes at the little fireman class they gave us like 3 days. Right? 3 days. This is a valve. Go. Right?
Well, in that 3 days, I was like, I put up my hand, like, what's the question? I'm like, where's the fire? They're like, no, here's a wrench. You get a wrench. I'm like, what? So, I was like, I'm in the wrong class. They're like, shut up and sit down. I'm like, okay.
But they said I was gonna be a fireman.
Yeah, dude. Like, yeah. No, and the whole reason I struck DC is because they got the little red hats. I was like, dude, those are cool.
But you hold on. But you got to the ship and you were in R division like right off the jump, right?
Well, yeah, because the DCA. Remember, you had to go see the DCA. Everybody had to go see the DCA. You know, the damage control assistant, right? And so I remember being with a group of like 6 people, and every single one was like, "I'm going to be a DC man." I'm like, "What the hell's a DC man?" There's like, they're the good. That's a good raid, you know. It's the firefighters. I'm like, oh, okay. And so, you know, they all went, and I was the last one to go in the door and talk to the DCA. And every one of them came out, and they were kind of upset when they came out the door. I'm like, damn it, I don't want to go talk to this dude. Everybody's upset coming out. And so I walked in there, and the DCA was sitting behind his desk. He's like, "Who are you?" And I'm like, "I'm John." They're like, "Okay, you're undesignated fireman recruit." I'm like, "Yep." And he's like, "All right, well, what job do you want to do?" And I'm like, "Shit, I don't know. I'll do whatever you want me to do. I don't care." And he was like, "Really?" I'm like, "Yeah, man, whatever you need. I don't care. Like, I got to do at least a year on this ship, I supposedly, so I can go to Buds." And he's like, "Oh, you want to go to Buds?" I was just like, "Yeah, I guess so." So, yeah, he's like, "All right, so you do whatever I want you to do." I'm like, "Yep." He's like, "How about to be a DC man?" I'm like, "Sure." So literally, that's the only reason. Yeah, I was like, "I'll do whatever you want." He's like, "All right, DC man." And I'm like, "Okay." Yeah. So I ended up in R division.
R division. Hey, do you remember when you got off the plane in Japan the first time? Like
Vaguely.
Vaguely. I remember that being such an experience, bro. Like never having flown on an airplane before, and then getting off the plane in Japan,
Same.
and I'm just like, oh my gosh, having to ride a bus.
Well, we were in a big rush because the Bellawood was out deployed at the time. And so they're like, "Hey, you have to hurry up, get off the plane, get on this bus. They're gonna shuttle you to the base. You're gonna get on it was like a supply ship, like a USNS or something like that, supply ship." And so I got on some little supply ship. They're like, "All right, this supply ship's gonna take you out to the ocean, and then they're gonna put you on a helicopter and fly you over this other ship." I'm like, "What the hell are we doing, man? I don't even know where we're at right now." Literally, yeah. So we met off the coast of Hong Kong, if I remember correctly, 1997. Yeah.
Okay, that was my first time going to Hong Kong. I remember that port of it. That was before Hong Kong was back to the British side or back to the British control.
Yep. Yeah, that was the time before we were there.
It was still under British control. I'm sorry, it was still under British control. That was when it turned over. I remember that. It was a good point.
Yeah.
So that's when you got to the ship. Okay, I remember that. I was old school at that point. I've been on board like 4 months.
Yeah, you've been there like 3 months. Yeah, I remember. He told me like I've been here for months. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, you knew where the chow hall was. Yeah, it's like okay. So
you got so you end up in R division, and for everyone listening, R division is the repair division, right? They're the guys on the ship that they house the damage control men, they house the hull technicians, which are essentially our weld repair guys. The damage control men are essentially the emergency responders, the firefighters, And then, of course, you have the machinery repairmen. And we all did stuff together on the small ships, but on the big ships, it can get really segregated, right? You can really get where like you D-seamen suck, get out of our shop, and it can be vice versa, right? And I remember that when I first met John, they'd sent him down to the pit. So I worked in the main space, aft main, MP2, and I worked down there with the boiler techs and the MMs, and we all stood watching the plant. And John got sent down to the main space to learn how to stand watch as like a messenger, because they look. And now looking back on this whole thing as a former Master Chief, Dams Controlman, I know the whole game now, right? Like they want everybody qualified, and all the engineers need to stand all the watches, and there's probably a fight for bodies. And John got thrown to the gods of the pit because he's undesignated, right? And so he had to come down there and stand some watch. And I remember him just being at the console, just like, what do I do? What do I do?
Yeah. I was like, it's hot down here, man.
Yeah, it was hot. And I remember just getting to know you, because one of my favorite things about you was you always, from the first day I ever met you, you said what was on your mind. You just said it, right? Didn't always think about what you were saying, but you'd say it.
Yep. I always got in a lot of trouble for it too.
No, but you were always, you were willing to work, you were willing to learn, and you wanted action. Like from the very beginning, you were like, hey, I hope something blows up right now so we can do something fun. Because
I wasn't a Navy SEAL.
No, you were not. I remember you
next
were always
best thing.
But I always felt like you were very tactical with your flash gear on your belt, and you were always and you wore your cover high on your head. I knew you were from California, and I saw you wearing your cover high on your head, right? It was very serious, even as a fireman.
Dude, I was the D-seaman.
Hey, repair 4. We're the ones that go in after you die. That's what he told me.
Exactly. Yep.
You guys are gonna die first, and then we're gonna go in and put the fire out. That's how it's gonna go.
Yeah, we're to step over you and get the fire out.
Now I look back on my career, and I would turn that damn main space into an aquarium, bro. I would just I'd fill it from the bottom up, dude. It ain't worth it.
Yeah. No.
Remotely water the space and call it good. Fire out.
Yeah, we didn't know any better.
No, we didn't. Bro, I tell people all the time, like my first job, I was like 19 years old, 20. I was 20 years old, actually. I landed in Japan on my 20th birthday. But my first job ever for GQ, which is our battle stations on ships for everyone listening, I was part of the overhaul team, and I had to carry a CO2 extinguisher. I'm 5'6". This damn thing is like over my waist. I had to carry it down like 7 freaking ladders with all my gear on, with an OBA on, and pretend to walk around this damn engineering space like I'm looking for spots. It was, and nobody ever asked me, are you strong enough to do that? Hey, poor guy, you're on this team. Get over here.
Hurry up.
And they threw me in there. So, when you did your time in the main space, John, was there anything about that experience in particular that you took anything from there as far as value?
Yeah. Water and electricity don't go well together.
Especially when we're having water fights.
When we were having a water fight and you splashed the water on the load center and shut down the whole boat. You remember that?
I do remember that.
And we got so much trouble.
I do remember that. Oh my God.
We got so much trouble.
There were some epic water fights in the main space, man. And it was just, back in those days, we were smoking, we were freaking. It was a little cavalier, I'll be honest. It was
Wild West back then, dude.
It was before 9/11, right?
Yeah.
It was before fire retardant coveralls was a thing. I remember how pissed we all were. We had to wear fire retardant coveralls. And we were just like, these are stupid. Because down there, everyone had coveralls around their waist, T-shirts out.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, I'll tell you, for me, when I look back on my time in the main space in particular, I tell people often, I fought more casualties in my first 3 years in the Navy standing that watch than most people do in their whole lives as a top fighter, right? Because you just never know when something goes sideways down there in that big old steam plant. And it was, I remember the first time we were lighting up the boiler that one time, and you decided that you had to depart up the escape trunk because you thought we were lighting a fire.
Yeah.
You were like, no, I got to be up there to come back down to put the fire out.
I was like, yeah, I'm not supposed to be down here.
And we were lighting the fires in the boiler, and we didn't tell you what it was, and that, for me, those are friends that I've had for life, and that's where we really connected. Was when you were down there with me as my UI, climbing around, and then eventually, I struck damage control and got up to the DC Men's World, even though they kept me in the pit for freaking forever. It felt like as a DC3, right?
Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah, it was tough. And then, so when I left the Bellawood, you stayed and you actually cross-decked. Now, is it because you extended on board because your brother was now part of the crew, right?
Correct. My brother came, so he got stationed on the Bellawood when I was my third year. And so I got to extend to stay for the whole swap to the Essex. And so then I did another 2 years with him there. And he was in Forward, Maine, I believe.
Yeah.
Because he was a designated fireman. Yep, he was in Forward, Maine. And so then he ended up striking DC later on, like you did. And so I stayed to kind of, keep an eye on him and look after him and stuff like that. So I did another 2 more years down there after you left. So.
Okay. Yeah. And then you stayed on the Bellawood, and you got up to E5, right? You were at DC2, and then you went from there right to the fire school in San Diego.
Yep. FTC. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you got orders from being overseas 5 years, punched all your sea duty, had no other sea duty left, and you got orders to go as an E5 to the fire school, that had to be a pretty awesome opportunity, because I'll tell you, I did the fire school in Norfolk, and I couldn't remember very many E5s. And San Diego had a lot of civilians. So when you got there, lucky. What was your job? You were there to be like the maintenance guy on stuff? Or were you there?
No, I got there as an instructor. Yeah, I got so because I'd done 5 years consecutive at sea, overseas, or deployed out of Japan on the Bellawood and the Essex, and how much time we had been at sea, like during that whole time, they were like, "Look, you can choose anywhere you want to go, but you have to go back stateside." And I'm like, "Okay," because this was back in the '90s where they were forcing people to rotate around and get different billets and kind of become well-rounded. And so I didn't know that or understand any of that. I was like, all I know is being deployed. And so when I came up for orders, like, for one, you got to go back to the United States because it's time for you to go back. And they're like, we'll give you choice orders. Where do you want to go? I'm like, I don't know. I have no idea what I want to do.
Yeah.
So it was one of the chiefs there, not my senior chief, but another senior chief told me, like, you should go be an instructor. Because I was one of the senior damage control training team members. And I ran the damage control training, either the initial training that everybody went through. And so, the INDOC. And so they're like, yeah, you're doing really good as an instructor. You should go be an instructor, get the certification, be an instructor. I'm like, okay. And so I did. And it was great. Like, it was one of the best decisions I made. The instructor school was good. It was actually a really, really good course. And I learned a lot from it and got some more professionalism. And then I went to the firehouse and was an instructor there for just basic firefighting and dewatering. And then I got into the nuclear plotting. And
didn't you do repair party leader too? I think I went to a school there. And you were one of the instructors there once upon a time.
Yeah. We did a lot. We did the whole spectrum. So we did a lot there. So that was a phenomenal time. I had a good time there and enjoyed the job and met some good guys and stuff like that. And so I did my 3 years there. Yeah.
Was it just 3 years you were there? That was it?
3 years, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Felt like longer, man, because I went recruiting duty after I left the ship, and then I caught back up with you in San Diego when I got to the Ogden, and you were at the fire school. And
I remember.
We caught back up there, and we were both young petty officers. I picked up. We were both second classes, I think. I was coming off recruiting. You were instructor. I think we both made DC1. You might have actually made it before me, as a matter of fact.
I don't remember exactly. It was right around the same time.
Right around the same time, we both picked up E6. And then I remember you were talking already about converting blue to green. And so the years, just for everyone that's listening, I went back to the fleet in 2003 to the USS Ogden. So the year had to be around 2004, 2005 timeframe, where John is talking about possibly getting out of the Navy and converting over to the United States Army. And there was a big push back then because, of course, what were we doing at that time in the world? We were forward deployed. We were operational over in Iraq, operational over in Afghanistan. They had stood up the United States Navy and a lot of support billets as individual augmentees.
Yep.
Right. Actually, as a matter of fact, the first day IA came out, I remember I got promoted to DC-1 and I was walking off the flight deck. They told me the other DC-1 was going IA to Gitmo to go be a guard down at Gitmo. And that was when IA first started rolling out. And that was like November of 2004. But John was telling me that he was going to go blue to green. And I remember I was not a fan. I was like, what? Why would you want to? No. But I mean, I know you, and looking back on it, I know you weren't really happy in the Navy, right? You weren't really getting the action or the intensity or the level of, I would say, just involvement with what you were looking for every day. I mean, you had the energy to want to be a Marine, and then you wanted to go to Buds, and right, you've always been that. I remember on the ship, you used to put us in dangerous positions just because, right? You'd be shaking stuff. I'd be on top of
I would op test our equipment. I op tested our equipment. I would be turning
wrenches on scaffolding, and he'd be helping me, and he'd be shaking the crap, and I'd be like, John, we're gonna freaking die, bro. And he'd be like, no, Wiser, this is how we check to make sure our gear is gonna work. And I would tell him, John, if it falls, we all die.
We were wearing our harness. I was op testing our equipment and showing you to have faith in your equipment.
Yeah, and so it was just you always were that guy that was interested in looking for a little bit more of a challenge. And so you did figure out how to go blue to green. You did. Like, you figured it out, right? A lot of people talk a lot of crap. They never pulled the trigger, right? You got it figured out. You actually legit talked to the recruiters, got out of the Navy, lateral conversion over to the Army, and you went blue to green. What was the biggest, I would say, when you went over, because you went over as an E6 from the Navy, what did they bring you over as an E6 in the Army?
Yeah.
Okay, how was that?
It was horrible. So for one, the process was a lot more difficult than I thought it was going to be. You know, everybody briefed this blue to green program, the Army and the Marines, everybody was hurting for bodies in Iraq and Afghanistan, and like nobody was really volunteering because everybody was dying. It's all over the news. We were losing people left and right. And so I just felt like I wanted to go help out, you know, after being with the Marines and watching them deploy, you know, for our deployments and stuff. And I was like, I don't feel comfortable going to the boat and just watching other people go do hard stuff and maybe not come back. I wasn't okay with that. So I put in the memorandum to do the blue to green program to go to the Army and help out. And I got nothing in response. So then I put another one a few months later, and then I put another one a few months later, and then another one. And finally, my lieutenant at the fire school grabbed me. He's like, "Hey, idiot, come on, you're coming with me." I'm like, "Okay, whatever. I'm in trouble again." So we walked across the way, and he took me up to the commander of the base. If I remember correctly, he was like the commander of the base of San Diego, 32nd Street at the time. They walked me in there, and you know, there's a few officers in there, and I didn't know any of them, and I'm just a lowly E6 now, DC-1. And they're like, "What the hell are you doing? Like, what is it? What are these memorandums that you want to join the Army?" You know, it's like, what do you mean? They're like, "We thought it was a joke." And I'm like, "A joke? I did 4 memorandums that went for signatures up the entire chain of command. Like, how's that a joke?"
Yeah.
And they're like, "Why do you want to join the Army?" And I'm like, "Because I just want to go help out." They're like, "You know, you're gonna die in the Army, right? Everybody's dying in the Army." And I'm like, "Well, they give people helmets and stuff in iPro. Like, I think it'll be all right, you know."
You do get helmets.
Yeah, just like, "You're an idiot." And I'm like, "Well, that's what I want to do." They're like, and I was trying to get out early. To go join the war effort. And they're like, "How much time you have?" And I had like maybe 6 or 7 months maybe. And they're like, "All right." And the commander's like, "You're an idiot, but okay." He's like, "If that's what you want," he's like, "I'll let you out early, but you have to join the Army like the next day, and you're going to the Army." And I'm like, "That's what I've been asking for months." So they did. They actually finally approved it. And then I got to do it. I was like a few months later, they out processed me from the Navy, and I went from there. I went straight to the MEPS out process, and then I in processed the Army that same night. So at midnight, I was out processed from the Navy, and then I was in process in the Army 5 hours later. So there was no break in service. So I went in as E6 in the Navy, in the Army, and they're like, "What do you want to do?" I'm like, "What do you need?" And they're just like, "Really?" I'm like, yeah, what do you need? They're like, well, we need 11 Bravos infantry guys, and we need reconnaissance guys, the 19 Delta Cavalry Scouts. They're the ones dying the most. And I'm like, what do they do? And they're like, one's a small team group of guys, and one's like a bunch of infantry guys. I'm like, I'll do small teams. Coming from our division and working with small fire teams and stuff like that, I was like, I feel more comfortable with that.
Yeah.
That's what I did. I signed up as a 19 Delta Cavalry Scout guy. I had no idea what that meant, but it was just reconnaissance basically. And so I went to Fort Knox, Kentucky for a little warrior transition course. It was a 1-month course for people from other services coming to the Army. They give you an info, and here's the bullet side, here's how you put the magazine in. They try to teach us cadence and marching, but we were in the Navy, so we sucked at cadence and marching. We're just like, we don't march anywhere on the boats. So
We really don't.
they're like, you're an E6. You don't know any cadences? I was like, yeah, I do. Row your boat. And it's like, get the hell out of here. So, like, it was stupid, dude.
Yeah.
So they're like, no, okay. So we did a month-long course, and then we finished up there, and then they were supposed to insert us into like the MOS phase, the AIT for the new recruits. And so we got halfway in, and so we finished up. But I was an E6, so our drill sergeants were all reserves because all the active duty guys were deployed. So they had reserve drill sergeants, and I outranked them. I had more time in service than most of them.
Yeah.
So they were mad at me, and I had more ribbons than them. So they were mad at me. They were like, "Oh, the Navy just gives away ribbons." I'm like, okay, like whatever, dude.
Hey, we were pretty busy on board the Bellwood, though. Let's be honest.
But they didn't understand that,
Yeah.
and that's fair. Like, they don't know. Yeah. So they're just like, who the hell is this stupid Navy guy with all these? I mean, I looked like a,
I do.
war hero. Yeah, dude. So then I graduated that, and they're like, all right, hey, do you want to go to airborne school? I'm like, nah, I don't care. I just want to go to combat as fast as possible. They're like, well, then you're going to airborne school because those are the guys going to combat fast. I'm like, okay. So I went to airborne school. I fell out of a plane 5 times with my eyes closed. It's like, okay. So then they shipped me to Alaska. I went to Alaska. That was my first duty station. So I got to Alaska in January of 05. So I was up there, did some training, and I went to Iraq for 15 months straight.
I remember that.
Dude, that was rough, man. That was 06, 07. I was in Iraq, just south of Baghdad, and that was a hellacious deployment. So got exactly what I wanted, and I was like, this sucks. I wish I was on the boat right now, dude. Like, this is terrible, man. So yeah, it was pretty rough, man. But I learned a lot, had a lot of experience, earned my stripes, and then so then I came back to Alaska after that deployment, and then 8 months later, we deployed again to Afghanistan. This time, we did like a 13-month deployment to Afghanistan, and then it wasn't as bad as Iraq, but it was a pretty rough deployment too. So then we came back, and it's like, oh man, and that's when the special forces recruiters came up, were looking for us. So I went to the special forces after that at Bragg, volunteered, go through the Q course there for 2 years. Graduated that, and then I went to Germany for to go be with the special forces team. Did that for 3 years, deployed, did a couple of things, and then transferred to Bragg, finished up my time there, retired in 17. So
yeah, when you were regular army, right? You did those 2 back-to-back deployments. How different was it in those groups? I'd say number one, with the Navy guys, right? When your Navy experience, I mean, number one, you guys went to different kinds of, definitely with battle, right? Going over to Iraq 06, 07, right?
Mhm.
And then, of course, going to Afghanistan. But then when you were back home in Alaska, how was that camaraderie? I'm interested, right? How was that different than like your time with the Navy in Japan? Was it a lot different because you were older, because you've been through more? Was it different because...
Yeah, it was different because I was an E6, but I was pretty much a private in the Army. I didn't know anything about the Army. So like the other E6s treated me differently because I didn't have the experience that they did. I hadn't been in the same duty stations. They all like knew each other because they all came from the same duty stations. They went to Ranger school together, or they kind of all knew each other. And I was just the odd man out. Like, they didn't know who I was, just some former Navy guy. And so, like, I brought over, what I learned as a DC man in leadership. The Navy leads from the front, the Army leads from the rear, as far as my experience was. And so, like, I was always trying to lead from the front in the Army, and they're like, well, that's not how we do it. I'm like, well, that's how I'm doing it. So you can either fire me or kick me out. Like, that's how I'm going to do it. Yeah. And so I tried to earn the respect of the guys by trying to be up front and, being there with them. But you know, a lot of the senior guys they didn't look at me the same. You know, they treated me a little bit different. Not like horrible, but they're just like, yeah, whatever. You're some Navy guy. I'm like, okay. But when it came to PT, I out PT'd most of them. You know,
Yeah.
I was always big into running. You remember, I was always running and
Yeah, you were always
PTing.
yeah, always
Yeah. So
how was your connection with the younger soldiers? Was it
it,
because you always were the kind of guy that would rub senior people the wrong way, but the junior people would respect you and love on you, right? Was it the same way in the Army as it was in the Navy?
yes and no. I didn't get along with the senior guys in the Army because again, they all thought they were better than everybody else, and I try to do everything I can to prove them wrong. Like I'm not impressed. And
Yeah.
so, and then so like a lot of the younger guys, you know, I was, you know, we were taught in the Navy to look after the younger, you know, service members. I remember you guys always looked after me when I was out with you guys. You always looked after me in the main space. You always look at, you know, took care of me. And so that's what I did in the Army. And so like the younger guys really appreciated that. Instead of just smoking them all the time and treating them terrible, I treated them with respect and I looked after them. And some of those senior Army guys were like, "Oh, that's not how we do it. You know, that's not how I was brought up." And I was like, I don't care. You know, I'm a Navy guy, so whatever, man." So, so yeah, it was it was a hit or miss both ways. You know, some of the younger guys in the Army were like, "But you're not an Army guy. You're a Navy guy." I'm like, "Okay, well, I've done time in the service. I got over 8 years in the service." You know, and they're like, "Ah, it doesn't count." I'm like, "Okay,
Yeah,
whatever."
I'll be honest
So,
with you. That was always one of the biggest detractors for those programs. Were people worried about essentially starting over again midway throughout their careers? I actually had a
basically,
buddy of mine. Well, no, I had a buddy of mine on here not too long ago, and he converted from BM2 to HM2, and that was the fear he had was converting over as an E5, even right. And so, because if you think about it, John, you arguably went from being undesignated seaman to fireman to D seaman into being Army, into like so going from a service to a service, and then going from being eventually from there screening into special forces and to go find when you did the special forces recruiting process thing, was that just more of you looking for more of that challenge, or was there anything in particular that I mean, did you have to retake the ASVAB? Right?
oh, no. So it was right after the Iraq deployment. The special forces guys came up to Alaska because we did really well in Iraq. I mean, we got bloodied up pretty good, but we put a beating down on everybody else, and so we had a very a good reputation. So special forces came up and was recruiting, and they recruited, man, at least 2 or 3 platoons of our guys. Like a lot of our guys left and went to go to special forces, and most of them made it through the selection process and the Q course. So, but like I didn't know what special forces were. Remember, because I came from the Navy, I was like, I just want to be a SEAL, you know. And so they're like,
Right.
you know, special forces. I'm like, what do they do? And the guy told me he's like, just get on the bus. You like doing PT? I'm like, yeah. He's like, get on the bus. And I'm like, okay. So I got on this bus, get on a plane. I ended up in Fort Bragg, North Carolina, and it was hot. And they treated us like crap. You know, we're going through selection. It was a few weeks of just being treated like shit. And
Yeah.
so we're just like, okay. And they smoked me pretty good. I think I lost like 30 pounds in 2 weeks. And it was rough, man. I was like, I'm never coming back here. This place is terrible. Like special forces is terrible. Like this is
Yeah.
terrible, man. So I left, and I wasn't going to go be a special forces guy. I ended up going on that next deployment to Afghanistan. But when I got back from that deployment, I was at like 13 and a half years. I'm like, man, I'm on the downhill slope, you know, like 20 years is around the corner. So I was like, well, I might as well stay in. If I'm going to stay in, I want to go get paid better and treated better and trained better and stuff like that. And the only way I needed to do that was to go ahead and volunteer for the special forces program that I'd been selected for. I just hadn't gone to yet.
Yeah.
So I just didn't have anything else better to do.
Okay. So no, I'm tracking, man. And so then you decide to go, you get through the process. And when you got to Europe, when you got to Germany, do you have a preference? Did you like Germany better than Japan?
No, I like both of them. You know, like I was young when we were in Japan. We were really young, so we didn't really appreciate it. You know, like at all.
You had nowhere to live.
No, we lived on the boat.
You lived on the boat.
Um,
Yeah.
so, like you know, I really enjoyed Japan. And then as I was older, you know, when I was in Europe, in Germany, in 2012 to 2015, I could appreciate it more. I was older, I was mature. You know, I'd been around a while, and I was able to appreciate it, enjoy it. And so it made me think about Japan. Like, man, I really didn't appreciate it, enjoy it as much as I should have. You know, but again, I was young. I mean, everybody goes through it, and all. So I enjoyed Europe. You know, it was cool to go from Asia Europe, that one side of the world to the other side of the world. So it's pretty cool.
You know, what's funny about that time period is I remember around 2012, it felt like things took a shift in the military in particular. Just felt like everything just went backwards on us, right? We had gone so hard, so fast for so long, and then all of a sudden everything just went the other way and we were sliding backwards. And I remember being on board I was on the George Washington at the time in Japan, and just being like, these missions are not what they don't feel like they matter. I feel like the things that we're doing aren't really priority, and we're worried way more about these people programs that are not really people programs. They're just a bunch of bullshit, right? Lack of a better word. And that's when it started, right? That's when it started. And as I'm watching the news now, and I'm over here like cheering these dudes on for like freaking kicking the shit out of some of these programs. That was when it started, and that was when I know my frustration started with the service, and to the point where there was a period of time where I thought I might get out. You know, we left the ship and we got to Norfolk, and I was seriously thinking about maybe just calling it a day and not going back out there again, because
I remember that. Yeah,
I was exhausted. You know, I was exhausted from the carrier. I was exhausted from the op tempo, and I was exhausted because it's not like we were fighting anymore. Matter of fact, we were like, it was like we weren't fighting, but we were still deploying relentlessly. But the Navy has never not deployed, right? And so, they never not deployed. When you got back from Europe, and because I heard you say you retired in 2017. Did you know when you came back from Germany that you're like, I'm done, like this is over for me, I'm gonna do something else?
No, actually, so when I got back from Germany, I think I had like maybe 2 years left until 20. And so I was in it to win it, dude. I was like, this is all I know. I'm at the pinnacle of my career. I mean, I made it to, special forces, like this is where everybody wants to be, right? And so I was like, hey, I'm going to ride it out and stick around. And so, I was deploying at my 19-year mark. But then my body just gave out, my body was beat up and broken, and I had back surgery and, shoulder surgery. And I was just pretty beat up. And so they were like, man, the chain of command was like, hey, dude, you've done your time, man. You're pretty beat up. And if you keep going, you're going to beat yourself up too much. And so it was a decision. Yeah.
I remember when you were retiring, because I came up to visit you up at your house. I remember you being like, I just drove across the base, was like, sign this piece of paper so I can be out of the Army now. Because that's how you are, man. When you're done, you're just like, all right, I'm done. I'm done.
I was done.
I don't need no other crap. Just let me out so I can go do something else.
So it was time.
When you did your retirement and you did your transition from the service, right, to the veteran side of the house, was that a big deal to you, becoming a veteran, or were you just like, it is what it is? Right? Because I'll be honest with you, I still struggle with it a little bit. Like when I meet other dudes.
Mm-hmm. Well, everybody makes it seem like you lose your identity, right? Like it's like you're losing your identity, and so it did. Like everybody kept saying, like, how does it feel? You're not a Green Beret anymore. You're not in the Army anymore. You're not a soldier anymore. And I'm like, yeah, I am. I'm still who I was a week ago. I'm still who I was a month ago. I'm still exactly the same person, with all the experience. So yeah, there was definitely an identity, issue. I was like, okay, who am I now? What am I now? I'm just some old retired guy now. Like I'm 38 years old. Like I was like, that doesn't make sense.
Right.
And so I think it was the first month I was kind of confused. I didn't know what I want to do. I was still healing up from, surgeries and stuff. And I didn't know what I wanted to do. So you're talking to other people and trying to figure out what's the next course of action and everything. And so I was like, I don't know. And so that's when other veterans had reached out to me and said, hey, you can do this program, or you can go do this contract work, or something like that, And so I was like just kind of networking and seeing what I wanted to do. And so I just kind of asked around, and I found a couple different options, courses of action, or contract opportunities that were available to me. And I was like, okay, I'll do this one. And I just went and did a government contract with one of the agencies, and I did that for a little while, and then I did a different one. But yeah, I think everybody goes through it, that kind of like, identity crisis and not knowing what's the best course of action. And I think we're all just like, we didn't make a lot of money while we were in the military, so we're just trying to go make a lot of money, so,
For me, I guess I'm fortunate because I chose to come work with the kids, and I still going to be Master Chief and wear the uniform once a week. But and I also, for me, is I didn't retire in a place with a huge military footprint. So people here like really eat it up. Like they love the military and the service. And what I've learned is that I don't have to not be proud of my years of service and what I did. I'm not saying walk around with a huge freaking bumper sticker on the back of my truck that says, yo, I served 25 years. But it's also like, it is a big part of my team because I want these young people to be proud of their affiliation to the service and the connection. And then it's also like, I don't want people to feel like you just have to immediately disconnect from what you did for 25, 30, 20 years, right? Because you don't. Like, you were that person. You always will be. And like, my sons are still proud of me for what I did. My wife's still proud of me for what I did. But you do have to move forward. I would like to talk a little bit about what you're doing now professionally, if you don't mind.
Yeah. So again, after I retired, I was like, okay, well, I'll go to what I know. And I went to do the contract work for, I think it was like 6 years altogether with 2 different agencies.
We're busy, man.
So,
I used to get so pissed off at you. Like, bro, would you quit? You freaking done enough. And you're like, no, bro, they're paying them the good.
The pay was good, but I was just always gone, and so I was like, it took a while for me to figure out, I was like, man, I'm just getting paid to be gone, and so I was like, I got to stop. I mean, I think I looked at it, I was like 27 years of deploying, like literally 27 years straight of just being deployed. And so after I retired, I was deployed more than I was deployed in the Army. So I was like, okay, it's time to go. So I was looking at other options. And so I was talking to other veterans of mine that I looked up to. And, they were kind of mentors to me. And a few of them had started their own businesses, small businesses. And I was like, well, what do you do? One guy's like, well, I got a laundromat and I got some apartments and some real estate. And so another guy, he did like flipping homes and stuff like that. And so there's a couple things that they were doing that they kind of mentored me to like, hey, why don't you find something that you enjoy doing or you would like to do and, get into, a small business. And I'm like, okay, well, how do you do that? And they're like, Google it. I was like, Google it. They're like, yes, start reading it. And I'm like, start reading. Okay. So I'm like, okay. So I just Googled. I just was randomly Googling stuff while I was on a contract my last few months. And I was just randomly Googling, like, I was like, what do you mean Google it? Like, businesses, buy a business that's for sale. I'm like, really? They're like, yeah, buy a cash flowing business. I'm like, what is that? They're like, it's a business that's making money. I'm like, well, why would somebody sell a business that's making money? That doesn't make any sense. They're like, start reading. I'm like, okay. So I literally got on the search engine and Googled businesses for sale. And I found a website, businessesforsale.com. I was like, well, that sounds about right. I clicked on that one and it opened up a broker website that was selling, businesses, nationally. So I just started gleaning through it and was like, oh, okay. And the spectrum was wide. I mean, there was nurseries, gas stations, pharmaceutical companies, there was plumbing companies, there was service companies, there was everything. And I'm like, dude, I don't know anything about any of this stuff. So I just kept reading for a couple months and looking through. And then I found this franchise that kind of stuck out. It was like, I don't know what really stuck out about it exactly, but it was the price point. It was the price. I'm like, oh, that's a price point I could probably work with. It was like $500,000 for this business. And it was cash flowing like 600,000 or something like that. I'm like, okay, whatever. I didn't really know what a lot about that meant, but I was like, okay, that looks about, it's in Raleigh. It's kind of close to me. I'm like, okay. So I clicked on it and it was like, cleaning and pressure washing and everything. So I'm like, okay. So I was like, And then I looked, I'm like, wait a minute. It's cleaning hoods, like commercial exhaust systems for, all commercial buildings, restaurants, universities, colleges, schools, detention centers. And I'm like, I'm like, I did that in the Navy. I used to clean the hoods in the Navy on the ship.
You sure did.
And I was like, no way. I was like, this is a business? And so that's what stuck out to me. I'm like, I did this in the Navy on the ship as an undesignated dude when I was supposed to be working in the galley. You remember, we had to do our cranking days. Remember, we had to go cranking and stuff. Yeah. And so I was like, and I was mostly because it was a punishment. Like, oh, you'd be a smartass, go clean the hoods. I was like,
all
oh
that
crap.
grease gets caught up in there, and the little
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah. It's fuel.
the
It's fuel for a
dashboard
fire.
ventilation, all that stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, you had to check all the fire suppression stuff and all. And I was like, oh, that's actually a pretty important job from what I remember in the Navy, right? And
yeah.
so I was like, all right. So I just clicked on the little link that said request information. I was like, okay. So I clicked on the little link and I got an email from the broker. He's like, hey, you want more information? I'm like, yeah. So he put me in touch with the corporate office and they emailed me like, hey, send us your resume. I sent the resume and they called me like 20 minutes later, like, we want to meet you. Like they'd never seen a resume like mine. I'm like, okay. So I flew up to Ann Arbor, Michigan and sat down with the executive team for this franchise for hoods. And yeah, from there, like they're like, hey, you want to buy this franchise? I'm like, yeah. They're like, okay, well, do you have cash? I'm like, no. It's just like, what are you gonna do? I'm like, I don't know, I'll get a loan, I guess, join the cartel. I don't know, do something, there's like, oh man.
Hey,
Yeah. So
like, I'm laughing, but I'm watching that bust that happened yesterday in Colorado Springs, and they caught them dudes standing
yeah,
guard. Bro, that's all bad, dude. That's
yeah.
all
So
bad.
yes. So I showed them that I knew a bunch about these hood systems and like, hey, you know what? We want you to join the franchise team. I'm like, okay. So I ended up
Yeah,
working through the SBA, put together an SBA loan, took a little bit of work, a little bit of time, and I went in. I started doing, working with the guy that owned this company before I did, and kind of seeing how he ran it and what he was doing. And I'm like, dude, I can do this all day, man. I was like, I know all about this stuff, and so a lot of code compliance and fire code stuff that we, were involved with. So I had to get spun up pretty fast on that kind of stuff. But it just took me back to my roots in the Navy,
yeah.
and yeah, we just been just crushing it since then. I took over and doubled the revenue and doubled the clients.
Super proud
And
of you, man. Super proud of you. You're a
yeah,
freaking businessman, bro.
yeah,
You
it's
are
hard to imagine. Remember?
the fact, and you're good, and you're better with computers now too. Which I think is crazy, right? Like
That is the rumor. Yes, I am. I am using technology. Yes.
you're using. Not only are you could use technology now, and then of course, yeah. No, I'm super proud of you, man. You got yourself some
Yeah.
business. You got some people working with you. You and you're
Yeah.
building a lot of good things. Um,
Yeah.
Awesome. I mean, okay. So now I got you to where we're at. I want to kind of talk about leadership now, right? I kind of want to jump into that a little
Mhm.
bit, hear your perspective on some things.
Yeah.
First question is, how different is it leading in the civilian sector, Vice, when you were on active duty? And I heard
Dramatic.
when you said from the Navy to the Army, from the front to the rear, right? And I've heard that before, right?
Yep.
I've heard that
Mhm.
before, and there's different perspectives and there's different styles, and
Yep.
that's true. But now that you're in the civilian, the corporate side, and you're actually running with teams of guys that don't have that military background, how is the reception to your leadership style there? Is it the same? Is it different? Is there anything significant that you had to change? Um,
It's dramatically different. So, working with people that don't come from the same environment, they weren't brought up the same as you, same time frame. A lot of the guys that work for me or with me, they're much younger. They're about half my age, or just a little bit, more than half my age. I mean, I'm 46 now. They're in their, early 20s, mid 20s, and stuff. So, but majority of the guys that work with me are not from the military. They all come from different backgrounds, very diverse backgrounds,
Yeah.
different demographic, different cultures. So it was definitely a challenge. Just people showing up on time was a challenge. I thought that was really odd. Showing up at all, they just you put them on the schedule and they just wouldn't show up. And it's like, where are you? Like, oh, I was busy. Like, oh, okay, so that wasn't an option in the military. That wasn't allowed. And so
Yeah.
trying to navigate on how to motivate people that lack a lot of motivation and don't care for the mission. Like we had a mission in the military. This is a mission for me. Like we go out and we provide a service, and grease removal, which is a fire hazard. I mean, that's a mission in my opinion. And so trying to relay that to civilians that don't have that ideology or that thought process, don't look at it that way. I'm, like, hey, what's your job here? I just spray stuff.
Yeah.
You spray stuff. Like, yeah, I'm a pressure washer. Yeah. like, but we're not pressure washing like parking lots. We're not pressure washing a house. We're pressure washing very sensitive systems that you have to remove the grease and the fuel for a fire to prevent loss of life and loss of equipment. And if you don't do it correctly, you can set off the fire suppression system, which dumps fire suppression all over everything. So it's like,
Right.
it's very specific. It's very, very specific. There's a very, very much, attention to detail and safety issues and regulations and code compliance and stuff like that. So when I took over, they didn't know that. Like, a lot of the employees had no understanding of that. So I had to back up and like, okay, hey, let's start from the ground and let's go through our equipment, our systems, and why we do what we do and how important it is and stuff like that, and educating them and empowering them and explaining their value. Like, hey, like, I value you guys.
Yeah.
And the customers are going to value you guys if we do a good job. We're a performance-based organization. We have to do a good job. We have to do it correctly. And so that was a process. Like, it was not an easy process, but it worked out. And then I think the biggest difference is myself as a new owner, I was going out on jobs with them and leading from the front, like I did in the Army, and learned from the Navy and the Army how to lead and mentor and guide. And so I was out there doing the dirty work,
Yeah.
working with the lowest guy on the team, working with the middle guy on the team, working with the guy that's been here the longest. And I was working alongside them at all hours of the night, day and night. And they're just like, we've never seen anybody work like that. I'm like, well, that's how we did in the military. If there was a job to be done, you were there, you helped out everybody, all hands on deck, and that's just how I was taught and brought up. And so I heard I feel like they had a lot of respect for that, and they appreciated that, and they verbalized it, and they, showed by doing a different job and a better job and performing. So it worked out pretty well. I got a pretty solid team of guys that understand it and understand, hey, we do things with a military mindset and, like, code compliance and regulations, and we uphold the standards and stuff like that. So we went through a lot of employees. A lot of them didn't understand it, didn't want to play that game, and so they left, or I had them leave. So, but it was different, definitely different.
Now that you hire people and you bring them into the organization and you've had them there for a while, have you incorporated that, like, foundational training into their onboarding as you bring them
Yep.
onto the team so that they understand? Because I will tell you what I've recognized when I talk to civilian leaders, they don't have really good training for their people as to why they're doing what they're getting hired to do or what the real expectation is. They just get hired for a job that's got a little description on a job thing that they fill it out, but then they don't really understand how they fit into the bigger scheme of things. And so when you said that, that makes so much sense to me, right? Like,
Mhm.
you're gonna get them. You don't just spray things, bro. You're preventing this place from being a freaking fire. And oh, by the way, for hurting people. And oh, by the way, inadvertently setting off the fire suppression system that's going to not
Mhm.
only put this business out of business for a little while, but affect our bottom line, which is my ability to give you this opportunity, bro. So all of
Yeah.
that counts, dog. Like, and so I think, but by you making that clear to the ones that care, right? Because like you said, some are not going to care, but for the ones that do want the job, that do
Mhm.
want the opportunity, that makes a lot more sense, right?
Well, again, empowering and educating, like explaining, like, look, dude, like, you're not here to just pressure wash something. You're here to prevent somebody's livelihood and their business from burning down and possibly somebody getting hurt in here. Like, I think the average, like, 30% of restaurants catch on fire due to grease issues in their ventilation. So, I mean, it's a big deal. It's not something that you can just shake a stick at. And so explaining that to them and saying, hey, it's a value. You are a value, you're doing your job as a value, and people understand that and see that. So a lot of our guys are like, oh man, I want to be valued. I want to have a job where people look at me and go, hey, I appreciate you. And that's what everybody wants, right? They want to be appreciated. They want to be valued. And so, helping them understand that was a huge difference, like it helped everything. It had second and third order effects were amazing.
Okay, so how about when it comes to your working with other CEOs, right? Other leaders of other businesses? Because coming from the service, we would senior enlisted, we would have to be able to give anybody the bad news or the good news. And typically, we would give the officers the chance to give the good news, and we were the jerks who was giving the bad news, right? So, but one of the things that I've gotten from the people that I've worked with, especially the upper level leaders, is they love the fact that I'll just tell them what they need to hear, and there's just no cut. I'm not going to sugarcoat it for you. I'm going to deliver to you what you needed to know. And oh, by the way, I'm also going to give you a few options as to how you can resolve it if you want to continue to moving forward. And I don't care if you do it with me or not, right? I really don't care. I care that we had the conversation, period. So because you have the time, I'm going to give you some input. For me, it costs nothing, bro.
Correct.
We're relentless wealths of wisdom, right? We have no problem giving you what we need, what we got to say. You do with it as you will. Or do you find that that's refreshing for some of the other businessmen that you work with that are in charge of their own teams that are having those leadership challenges, or are they a little in their own drinking their own Kool-Aid?
It started out that way. Everybody was telling me like, oh, you'll do this or you'll do that. And like, you'll have this struggle and this problem and this problem and this problem and this problem. And I'm just like, all I hear is problems, And so, as you and I grew up in the military, we weren't allowed to present a problem or complain about a problem if we didn't have a solution, or a recommendation or something. And so listening to people and all their problems, I was like, we're not on the same level. We're not on the same thought process. Like, and so I'll never forget, like, I think one of the first meetings I went to with other business owners, and they're all talking about problems. And it came to me, and they're like, well, what problem do you have? I'm like, none. They're like, you don't have any problems? Like, nope. They're like, that doesn't sound correct. Like, you have no problem? Like, nope. And they're like, really? I'm like, yeah, really? They're like, really? I'm like, yeah. I don't have any problems. I have struggles. I have challenges, but I don't have problems. I was like, if you're looking at them as problems, you've already lost. You've already failed. And that resonated with some other people. Like, huh. I was like, that's not how I look at things. I don't want to look at the problem as a negative. I want to look at them as a challenge and then provide a solution, or at least reach out and start trying to figure out a solution, ask around and ask other people. I was like, I'm not reinventing the wheel here. These systems have been around for the last 30 years. Like, it's the same system. So I'm not reinventing anything. I was like, somebody here has dealt with the challenges I've dealt with. So we just got to ask around until we find out who. So that was a big difference. And then the other one was, a lot of other business owners were like, I'm the man. I'm in charge and everything. I'm like, well, I'm not. I was like, I'm on a team. I have a team of guys. They don't work for me. I don't work for them. We work together. And that's just how I looked at it. And that's how I approached it. And that worked for me and our guys, like, hey, you don't work for me. We're a team. We work together. I don't have a business without you, and you don't have a job opportunity without me. So we're relying on each other. We're here to support each other as best we can. So yeah, I've definitely had a different ideology from some of the other owners, and that's fair. Teach their own, and if it works for them. But biggest thing is performance, right? We're a performance-based organization, so everything I talked about, my revenue validated very quickly. So,
well, and I think also being able to call people out of their crap, because even when me, I work with students most of the time, so ages 14 to 18, and to your point about having that generational difference, right? Thank God I came from the service where I was working in spaces with 19-year-olds to 55-year-olds. And we all shared common experiences of like basic training, rank and structure, rules of the road. We all had those, but I was able to very quickly shift into what they're talking about because real recognizes real, right? And my bullshit flag flies high and flies fast and might hit you right in the face. Because I'm throwing the flag as I'm running after it, right? Because brother, if you want the problem, I love when 50 Cent says, look, I don't want confrontation, but if you want a confrontation, fine, we can have a confrontation. I don't mind confrontation. I like a good confrontation. Doesn't mean I hate you. Like I tell people all the time, ain't no one getting shot at today. Ain't no one getting their birthday taken away. We just don't agree. Right. And by the way, you can make the choice to no longer work here, go to my classroom or whatever. I really don't care. The ship is going to continue to move forward. But if you want, like you said earlier, if you want opportunities, we have an opportunity right here, right now. Right. And I would love to see you do good things here, but you've got to turn that frown upside down, baby. You got to come to work with the thing. Okay.
Motivated.
Motivate, inspire, kick them in the teeth, or let them know that they may not have a job there tomorrow, right? All the other options, right? I can hug you, I can elbow you. Like, what do you want to do? We can do it all, right? But what you're not going to do is, but what I think, and this is what I tell the students, is what you're not going to do is be in my space disrespectful and and just acting like you don't care about your own self. Because for me, that's my number one priority as a leader is I see things in people before they even see it in themselves. And it frustrates me when they don't even want to see it, right? And I get that. I've been there. Right? But you got to give the process some time. You got to trust a little bit in it. And oh, by the way, bro, you got to work, dude. Like you got to work. You don't just get to not work, right? Like, we all have to work.
There was a coach that it said, I don't know who the coach was, but I used it with my sons. They're playing sports and all. And so there's a quote from a coach. It was like, my job is to find somebody better than you. Your job is to make sure I can't. And that's something that stuck with me for a while, because again, we were brought up, we worked for our positions, we fought for our positions, we had to put in effort and time and qualifications, and we were always fighting for our positions, and somebody else was fighting to take our positions from us. Remember, being on the fire teams, being on the DC teams, being on the training teams, going to the Army and going to the reconnaissance and trying to get to the sniper team or the explosive team or the ODA and the Halo team or you're always fighting for positions, and you're constantly trying to improve and progress both physically, mentally, and in your skill sets to get to that next position, and you're always trying to improve. And so I tell my the people that work with me, like, hey, there's no free rides here. If you're not putting in time and effort, then I'll find somebody else that will. Nothing against you. I will do everything I can to support you and provide you the training and the mentorship and the opportunities, but you have to put in the effort, and you have to want it and apply yourself and show me that you want to be here. So that's how I look at it.
I'll say, dude, that's all people want, and then they want it to be fair, right? That's the thing. And as long as it's fair, they will probably go to the ends of the world for you. I want to hit real quick on the sons thing, because I've also got sons. And so not only am I raising young men that are adolescent age, but I'm also working with a bunch of young people at my job, and I'm seeing kind of what that community is like. And then, oh, by the way, we were on the receiving end of these young people that were joining the military, and there were some challenges. What kind of advice would you give to parents out there that are struggling with raising their kids at home? And it's really not that much different than leadership in the workspace, right? Because ultimately, some of those same tips are going to work with your kids, right?
Yeah. Communication, for one, just like you do with the people you work with. Communication, and hold them accountable, and expect a performance from them, and sticking with it. Like being patient and just kind of riding it out and being there to support them and communicate and do the best you can. Like just like with the employees or the people that you work with, it's the same. You show up every day. You're ready to support. You're ready to communicate. You're ready to show that you're motivated, and do the same with the kids. My sons, they're athletes, both of them. They're doing well in school. They're now starting to work, and part time with us. Work with the company a little bit here and there, and so they get to see what we do and what the employees are doing, and what the expectations are for work, showing up on time and performing and applying yourself, and not wasting an opportunity. So
that's huge, bro. Not wasting an opportunity. And I'll tell you, when I talk to these children that I work with, a lot of them that look to me to fill a lot of the gaps that they have at home. If I had the chance to talk to their parents or any parent, it would just to tell them almost exactly what you just said, right? Don't communicate with them like they're actually like they can understand what you're talking about, because we get so used to our kids as being little, and you don't recognize that they're actually more mature than they even let on sometimes, because they don't want to be held accountable, right? They want to be a kid as long as possible so they can get away with dumb stuff. But at the end of the day, bro, you're not dumb. Like, you're not dumb. I love you, but I'm going to hold you accountable. And also, if you have the good fortune to co-parent with another person, you've got to be able to back each other up and communicate as well as what's going on, because some people are doing it just by themselves. Other people are doing it with a grandparent or an uncle or an aunt or a husband or a spouse, a boyfriend or girlfriend, an ex-wife, ex-husband. Pick your person, but you guys have got to be aligned as to what you're giving as far as a message to the kid, and not be miscommunicated, because it's gonna confuse them. And if you have that happen in the workspace, they're gonna play mom against pop, right? And then you talked about, and bro, the other thing is talk about inspire them. Like, you've got to constantly teach them to run like their ass is on fire and somebody's trying to get them take away an opportunity from them, right? Like I
Yeah.
just like you and I were super similar when it comes to our stories. And I have no problem sharing that I came from a rough background. So it's like from the moment I feel like I wake up, I feel like if I don't work my butt off today, someone's gonna screw me. Like I just feel like that, and it's not healthy. I know it's not healthy, right? I just can't help it. It's just how I
Yeah.
am because I feel like I've been fighting my whole life for my family to get ahead. And it wasn't just, and I want my sons to not be so comfortable that they're like, oh, I don't have to have that same sense of urgency. No, bro, you do, dog. Like you gotta don't make
Yeah.
all this work that me and your mom did not go further because you don't want to pick up the ball and run with it. I'm not saying you got to work in my business or whatever, but
Yeah.
you got to do something, bro. You got to do something. And
You got to find your passion. Yeah.
it is. And the other thing is, I believe humans are happier when we're chopping wood, right?
Yeah.
My favorite part of the hike is always walking up the mountain. Walking down the mountain sucks, bro. Like being at the top, everyone's like, "This is beautiful." I'm like, "This is stupid. I want to go." Like I'm not that guy. That I remember I hiked Mount Fuji one time, and I was so pissed that was the top of the mountain. I was like, "But I love the hike up the mountain,
Yeah.
right? I
Yeah.
love pushing the rock up the hill. I love the challenge. Whenever we say that we're done, I just don't. That doesn't compute for me. Like I'm not. Give that to somebody else that wants to be done. I'm hungry, right? I want to
Mhm.
continue to grow, and I want my sons to have. I want my sons to have that same appetite for life. But then, do you okay? Do you believe in work life balance?
I don't never had it. Yeah.
Me
Never,
neither,
never,
bro. Like I
never
hope
had it.
I think it sounds good. It sounds cliche to say it, right? Helps people feel better about themselves when they know they're not getting after it every day. But for me, I hope my sons find something in life that gets them so fired up that they have to constantly rebalance. Because look, it is life is a balance, right? Trying to manage relationships and time
Yeah.
and people and
Mhm.
ourselves. That's true.
Yeah.
But that's living, baby. That's living.
I think it's different now, though. The culture shifted, right? So the way we were brought up is, like I said, we're always pushing forward. We're always, fighting for a position or progressing to a position where we want to be, and we're, trying to, earn our spot. And so it was different. So that was the conditioning that we were brought up into to put us where we're at now. Where, like, to me, if I wake up, doesn't matter what time I wake up, 1 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning. Oh, something's on my mind. I need to get done. I get up and do it. I get up and move. And there's some days where I don't sleep for 2 days because I'm just getting up and moving, and I'm trying to, forward progress. I'm like, okay, if I don't get this done, then my guys aren't set up for success later today or tomorrow morning. And so, like, it's just, you're always trying to move forward. And that's just how we were conditioned, prior to the military, then the military, and then after retired. So it's always been there, and it's always going to be there. And it's really hard to turn that off. And, everybody's like, well, you got to relax. And, like, I haven't relaxed for 28 years of my life. Like, I've been moving 100 miles an hour for
Yeah.
28 years of my life. But that's easier said than done. And so nowadays, kids aren't brought up like that. They got the iPhone. They got everything that they need. They got Costco down the road. They've got every program and opportunity in front of them. And so there isn't a lot of resiliency. There's not a lot of struggle. And so they're not having to fight so much and work so hard. And so it's different now. So work-life balance for younger generations is different. They're like, hey, I'm going home. I want to hang out of the house and, stick around mama and stuff.
They really want it, right? And the thing is, here's what I tell them when we have that conversation is I appreciate the perception that you want that balance. But the other thing is you
Mhm.
want the convenience of being able to sit around the house and chill. Well, the people that get that are the ones that work their butts off during the other time and they've earned the
Right.
right to chill. And so while you may have this technology and all these conveniences, I promise them, I promise all of us, you will find a common characteristic among successful people, and that is they don't waste time deliberately, right?
Correct.
And when they get their opportunity to use their time to the best of their benefit, they do. And I believe part of living a purpose driven life is being driven by your purpose, right? So just
Yeah.
if you have not yet found the thing that gets you so excited about tomorrow that you just don't wait, don't hope it comes to you, and look for people that are mentors that can help open your eyes, because most of us want those things. It's just finding it, right? And getting exposure to the people like to you or to me, because when I talk to these kids every day in the classroom, bro, they are hungry for things in life. They just aren't quite sure, and unfortunately a lot of the role models aren't showing them the grind. They're just seeing the easy way, the easy money, the perception about being a YouTube person making a bunch of money off of that. And what they're not seeing is the real life work that people really do, right? And I think that's because look at social media. We portray what we want people to see. We don't always
Correct.
portray all the downside stuff, right? Okay,
Yeah.
brother, we could talk about this stuff all night long, but I have a hard time to get off here because work life balance is a thing for me. So check it out.
Enjoy it.
I have some questions I'm going to ask you rapid fire that I ask
Okay.
everybody that comes on, and you
Okay.
just give me the best answer you got. Okay.
Got it.
All right.
Hit me.
Here we go. All right. Pizza or wings?
Pizza.
Pizza. Oh yeah. Any particular kind?
Meat lovers.
Me. I know you're a carnivore, bro. Rawr. Okay. So from back in your Navy time, or maybe even this applies to the Army time, would you rather do birthing cleaners or working party?
Working party all day.
Okay. Hey. Okay. Okay. When it comes to movies and acting, would you rather watch De Niro or Pacino?
Pacino.
Okay. I like it. In your time of living life, what's been your favorite duty station and or favorite place to vacation? I'll throw you the bone.
Okay. You throw me the bone?
Yeah, favorite duty station or
Oh.
favorite place to vacation.
Mm, favorite place to vacation was Tivat, Montenegro.
Wow, flex.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a good one. Tabat
Yeah.
Montenegro. Okay, all right. From your Navy days or even from your Army days, what was your best Liberty port?
Oh, that's Liberty Port. I would say probably um probably what was it? Darwin, Australia. It was a little
Australia.
town in Australia. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
they got a couple of them. Darwin's a good one. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's been the hardest qualification you achieved throughout your career? Like looking back at your career, was it getting your Green Beret?
No, it
Okay.
was actually my ASWAS qualification. Remember that
Your
one?
ASWAS qualification?
My ASWAS, the aviation.
No kidding.
Yeah.
On the ship?
Yeah, that was my hardest one, man. Trying to remember all those aviation acronyms and all the
Oh
roles and
yeah.
responsibilities because we were all below deck. So ESWAS, I kind of had a basic general understanding from working with everybody, but
Okay.
aviation, we were down below, so we were never up
Wait,
there. So I'd really
okay.
spent a lot of time studying. Yeah,
Good for you. All right, got it. Okay, would you rather be when you're in the service, would you rather serve overseas or stateside?
overseas all day.
All day. Okay. Dude, favorite movie trilogy. Do you have a favorite movie trilogy or favorite movie series?
Diehards.
Is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
Yeah, obviously.
Obviously. Okay, got it. Check. How about would you rather be independent or on a team
Team all day.
all day? Okay. Do you have a personal leadership philosophy?
What do you mean?
Do you just have an ethos, right? A thing like when I was a CMC, my thing was ship. There was ship made self, right? So I reversed that when I did it, and I made it sailor mission patriotism, right? Now it's earn my anchors every day. Like I have some things that I utilize that just key me in real quick when I've got to calibrate somebody on the fly. That's kind of my North Star, right? Do you have anything that you use or that you leverage?
Just the one thing that I've learned is you just can't quit. The only time you fail is when you quit. And so
Okay.
for me, my ideology or thought process or anything is just don't quit. You know, if you want something, go after it and don't quit. You'll get it if you don't quit.
That's it. Okay, so in the Navy, we had this acronym, and the acronym essentially stands for like being a frontline leader, a deck plate leader. There's institutional and technical expertise. There is professionalism, character, loyalty, active communication, and sense of heritage. Right. Out of those things I just listed off for you, which one of those to you speaks the most to you? Is it like heritage? Is it active communication? Is it loyalty? Is it professionalism?
None of them, to be honest.
That's cool. What word, if you had a word, so don't quit.
Motivation. Motivation.
I thought you were
I
going to
can
say
do. I could do almost anything when somebody's motivated.
good. I like it. I thought you were going to say relentless. That's my other word. I like the word relentless.
That's a good one. Yeah.
It is. Okay, so would you rather lead or follow?
I think that really depends on the situation.
Okay.
You know, I think it's important to be able to do both, for one. I think there's a time where you need to lead, but I also think there's a time where you need to follow. So,
Okay. Brother, do you have any saved rounds? Do you have anything you'd like to talk about or discuss before we wrap this up, man?
no, man, I just appreciate the opportunity. It's good to talk to you, man. Love you, brother. It's nice
Love
been
you too, man.
catching up with you, man.
Yeah, we don't do it enough, man. We just don't.
It's
But
true. It's true.
you know, when Erica came up with this idea for me to do this, I was like, that's an awesome idea. I can catch up with little buddies. We could talk
Yeah.
shop. I can give you guys a chance to show the world how freaking awesome you are. I mean, having lived a life with you and been there when you did the things you said you were going to do, and just
Yeah.
straight show everybody that you were going to do it, right? Everybody that said, why would you want to do it? And you always did it for the right reasons. There was never, I'm trying to do it because I'm trying to make myself look great, man. You're the real deal, bro.
Just try to do the best I can, man. That's something you taught me way back in half May, man.
man. Yeah, brother. You trust me. You taught me as much as I taught you, man, and I do appreciate you, bro. Hey, you have a good night tonight. Don't work too hard.
Hate you, brother. Yeah, man. Say hi to the family.
Yep. Tell everybody we say hello and that we love them, man.
All right, brother. Sounds good, man. Take care.
Yep. Bye, everybody.
Later, brother.
And I know I was born for this. I know I was born for this. Don't care for the critics, my words are like physics, a force that they can't stop. They just don't get it, I think they forget I'm not done till I'm on top. I know I was born for